Center for Education, Commerce, Health, Recreation, and Culture. Our mission statement: the City of Kirksville offers opportunities for building quality of life and meaningful community through ethical and responsible government. I now ask that you please join me for a moment of silence. Thank you very much. I'd now like to welcome Boy Scout Pack 401 and Troop 401 to help lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Good evening, everyone. We'll go ahead and start whenever you all are ready.
Scout attention. Scout salute. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Two. Please.
Troop 401, Pack 401, we thank you very much for being here tonight.
Thank you.
We'll now move to discuss the order of the agenda. Mary, any additions or changes recommended for tonight's agenda?
There are no changes, Mayor.
Seeing none, then I'll entertain a motion second to approve the order of our agenda this evening.
So moved.
Councilmember Bonsall, Councilmember Gardner with the second on that. All those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? The agenda is approved. We'll now entertain a motion and second to approve our minutes from our regular session meeting held on August 21st, 2023.
So moved.
Councilmember Walston,
Second.
Councilmember Steele with the second. All those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? And the minutes are approved. We'll go ahead and move into action items this evening. We'll start with action item number 1, which will be City Clerk reading of Bill number 2023-34.
An ordinance of the City Council of Kirksville. Okay, I'm going to start over.
There you go.
An ordinance of the City Council, City of Kirksville, Missouri, authorizing the Finance Director to suspend certain provisions of Chapter 40, Utilities, Article 2, Water, Division 4, Customer Operations, relating to the assessment of penalties and the termination of service for non-payment from October 1 through October 31, 2023, to account for the transition of data between Springbrook and Tyler Technologies utility billing software.
Thank you for that reading, Wanda. Do we have a motion and second to approve on first reading?
So moved.
Councilmember Bonsall.
Second.
Second from Councilmember Gardner. Our staff report tonight will be with Lacey King. Good evening, Lacey.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As we discussed during our study session last time, we are to that phase in our software conversion where this is going to start impacting our customers. What we have currently, the modules we've currently put into play have only impacted the city and our operations. Well, now we're doing the utilities. This plans on being completed at the end of September. And due to the completion date, there's 3 things that it's going to impact for our citizens. The first one being those people who pay by online and use the pay by phone services that we currently have. Those are going to be shut off at 11 p.m. on October 20th. And they will not be restored until we have completed the conversion, and we're anticipating that to be the first week in October.
And just to clarify, the services,
The services,
not the customer
right.
account.
And the
The-
shutoff is September 20th or October 20th?
it is September
Okay, you
20th.
said October. I just wanted to
And
be
it is
sure.
just the payment portion of that.
Yeah.
It doesn't impact anybody's current services, just their billing portion. And then also what it's going to impact, our plan is to still in our new system get those bills prepared and sent out the last day of September. But that is if everything goes perfect, and we'll cross our fingers that everything is perfect. But we would like a little leeway to get those at least in the mail by the following week, if necessary. Like I said, we hope we meet that deadline, but we're planning for a scenario in case we don't meet that deadline. So that is going to impact the time that our utility customers have from the time they receive their new bill in the new system to pay on October 20th. So what we're asking council to do is to waive the delinquent fees on the bills that would be due October 20th to allow citizens a few more days to get those bills paid, depending on when they receive those. And then the last thing that it will impact, because our payment services might not be back and operational until the end of that first week in October, that would also be the due date for all delinquent utility bills. And that is not going to allow those people who maybe do not live in town, cannot get the mail here in time to make that delinquent payment. We need to give those citizens the opportunity to get their bills paid. So we're asking that council not have us do shutoffs in October to allow those people to get their new bill set up, because even if they were to try to pay their old bill in the old system, it won't work for them. So they're going to have to pay it in the new system, and that means that they'll have a new account number. So to try to make this transition as smooth as possible for everyone, we're asking council for those three things this month during that transition. So what we'll miss out on as far as our budget is we will not be collecting any of those fees that would have been assessed in October. But we have our fingers crossed and everything is going to be great. Now, I do want to mention that we will still continue to turn people on. We'll still take payments at City Hall. We have the drop box that is across the street. We also have the drop slot in the front of City Hall. And then people can still make payments at Hy-Vee during this transition.
Lacey, thank you for the report. And again, I know we talked about this in our study session, but we really appreciate staff thinking about how this might impact citizens and creating some leeways there as we work through this transition. So I'm really glad to see this come forward.
Lacey, to be clear, if somebody has not paid their bill starting November 1st, then those delinquency fees will start to kick in.
That is correct, because our new system will be operational and everyone will have the chance to pay everything that they need to.
Lacey, just to follow up, based on the existing migrations we've done with Tyler Technologies, no migration's 100% perfect, but how comfortable are you feeling that this will hopefully go according to plan? Because October 1st, October 31st is assuming we're good to go, migration's good, but we may have to adjust that if there's something that happens and it delays us from mailing things out.
Right. I only anticipate a few days time that it might take to get everything up and running. Because we are not going to start billing in the new system until the 26th of September, that would not give us the 2 days needed for our current company that prints our bills and mails our bills for us. That would not give that company the 2 day leeway for that. So this is at least allowing us to finish that process the first week in October.
Okay.
They already have copies of what the new bills look like, so we should be ready to go.
Thank you.
Other council comments?
Thank you for your good work, Lacey.
Yep.
Open it up for any citizens input on the matter. If you would like to, please come on up to the podium, introduce yourself, and sign in.
My name is Kevin. Just a quick question on,
Kevin, could
Billy.
you share your last name and address with us, please?
write it in here?
Yes, if you would. But just all for a matter of public record.
Okay. Okay. Just a comment, if you pay your bill by mail or you pay at City Hall, no disruption.
No disruption.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else who'd like to speak on this matter? We'll go ahead and take it to a vote on first reading. All those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion does pass on first reading, so I now ask for City Clerk's second reading of Bill number 2023-34.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Kirksville, Missouri, authorizing the finance director to suspend certain provisions of Chapter 40 Utilities, Article 2 Water, Division 4 Customer Operations relating to the assessment of penalties and the termination of service for non-payment from October 1 through October 31, 2023, to account for the transition of data between Springbrook and Tyler Technologies utility billing software.
Thank you, Wanda. Is there a motion and second on second reading?
So moved.
So moved.
Councilmember Bonsall, Councilmember Steele with the second. Any additional council input on the matter? Any additional citizens input on the matter? Then we'll go ahead and vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The motion does pass.
Thank you.
Lacey. Move now then to action item number 2, which will be city clerk reading of a resolution.
A resolution of the City of Kirksville, Missouri, adopting the Kirksville Fire Department's strategic plan for 2024 through 2034 with implementation contingent upon funding.
Thank you for that reading. Is there a motion and second to approve?
So moved.
Councilmember Steele,
Second.
second from Councilmember Walston. Staff report tonight will be with Chief John Cook. Good evening, Chief.
Good evening. How are you all tonight?
Doing good.
We spoke at length about this a couple of weeks ago. I hope that this document, it kind of references how far we've come in the last 5 years, but also, provides a good guiding document and enough detail to provide, good solid guidance to current and future administrations, but also be flexible enough for us to adapt to any changes that might come our way. And probably hurdles now that when it comes to people and facilities and that sort of thing, and I hope that was clearly relayed in this document. I'd be glad to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, John. Then one of the things I might say is you talked about how there's been some opportunities over the last couple of years and be able to work through those. And just want to express again, I think you and your entire department have really earned the council's trust in trying out some new things and working those through. And I'm excited to see where we may be able to go with this 10-year plan as well too. So good to build on. Other council comments or thoughts?
I just want to mention when John presented, he also presented the 911. We discussed that, and we're going to take that to the Joint Service Board first before it comes back to the council.
Sounds like a good plan. Any citizens input on the matter this evening? We'll go ahead and take it to a vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion does pass. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Let's move now then to action item number 3. I'll entertain a motion and second to approve the Kirksville Parks and Recreation Scholarship Program policies and procedures. Councilmember Gardner. Second from Councilmember Steele. Staff report tonight will be with Rodney Sadler. Good evening, Rodney.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So as we discussed at your annual planning session just a few weeks back, we are now bringing this new scholarship program forward for your official consideration and hopefully approval. Just in review, this will provide access to programs for some that may have financial barriers. It will be up to 50% of the total cost of individual park programming, so like the Kirksville Baseball and Softball League, some of our other paid programming throughout the parks. This was discussed at the last meeting of the Lakes Parks and Recreation Commission, where they did recommend to bring this forward to the council for consideration. This aligns with both the comprehensive plan of the city as well as the Kirksville Parks and Recreation Master Plan. And as far as a fiscal impact, using donations and a percentage of sponsorships that we already collect, we anticipate that there'll be $5,000 set aside for the implementation of this program in its first year. So if you have any questions, I'll answer those now.
Thank you, Rodney. Questions or comments from council?
I'm so pleased to see this moving forward. I think it's a great plan, great idea, and as part of LPRC, that whole group definitely approves of this one. Thank you for the work.
Yeah, Rodney, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I'm excited about this too. How will families find out about the scholarship program?
Yeah, good question. We will be using the city's communication channels to advertise that, as well as in the sponsorship materials that will go out to sponsors, so that way they know what to donate to. We'll be working with the school district and just also posting things out within our parks. So there'll be information disseminated in lots of different ways. Yeah.
So I think one thing that you need to address, and
year, whereas most of the scholarship funds will be likely applied towards the baseball and softball leagues. That's where we think we'll see the largest. So we think that it will really be front-ended as far as the collection of those revenues.
Thank you.
I talked about this last time, but again, I just want to make an appeal to the folks here in this room, the folks who are watching online, that this is a great scholarship program that's really about youth engagement and gets the youth of our community, regardless of socioeconomic status, involved in our parks and recreations offerings. Community engagement is good. Getting everybody involved in the community is good. Crime reduction is good. There's so much good that comes from that. So I encourage folks to really consider making donations to this scholarship program. We've been blessed with some business folks who've been making donations to our program for years. Want to encourage them to continue those donations and make this a real possibility. This has such great potential, and I really think as a community we can come together and do some cool things with this. Any citizens' input on the matter tonight? We'll go ahead and take it to a vote then. All those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion does pass. Thank you, Rodney. Got another one here, though. We'll move on to action item number 4. We'll entertain a motion and second to approve a special event request to allow the temporary closure of specific streets downtown during the Kraft Heinz Bologna Festival on Saturday, October 21st, 2023.
So moved.
Councilmember Steele,
Second.
second from Councilmember Walston. Our staff report will be with Rodney.
Good evening once again, Mayor and Council. So yes, that is correct. The first or inaugural Bologna Festival in the downtown Kirksville area proposed for Saturday, October 21st. It will work in conjunction with Truman State University's homecoming, so it will be in the afternoon hours. It is coming to council for consideration based on the closure of city streets, which is required per council policy. So they're looking to close sections of West Harrison Street, North Elson Street, and West Washington Street, all along the square, and then the intersections between those streets. Let's see here, looking for it's just the really outside of that, it's just encouraging people to come to the downtown. It's something that Truman State University had first brought up and then was working with Kraft Heinz, and so they're looking for more ways to bring people downtown and bring people to Kirksville. They are anticipating 2,000 attendees the first year, so there will be a lot of people in the downtown. Free food will be given away, fried bologna sandwiches, and kids games and things of that nature. So there will be really a minimal impact to the city. Parks and Recreation will provide some trash receptacles, and then the police department, the way that they always close the downtown streets. So if you have any further questions about the event, I can try to answer those. Otherwise, I ask that you approve.
Thank you, Rodney. Questions or comments from council? This sounds like fun. We've had a lot of really great things happening downtown lately. September is a very busy month with a lot happening downtown, and these are all things that engage our central business district. So excited to vote for this as we get another project. Citizens' input on the matter tonight. We'll go ahead and take it to a vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion does pass. Thank you, Rodney. Move then to action item number 5. Entertain a motion and second to approve a liquor license application for the Press Room LLC for Sunday sales of alcohol. Looking for a motion in a second. Councilmember Gardner on the motion.
Second.
Second from Councilmember Walston. Staff report is with Lacey.
Good evening again. The Press Room LLC, which is located at 119 South Elson, that is right over here. It did renew its retail by the drink liquor license on July 17th of 2023. They have recently came to us and they have applied for a Sunday liquor sale license. They did provide a copy of their state Sunday license, and we're asking council to go ahead and vote to approve that. And if approved, it will be valid through July of next year and will expire with all of the other liquor license that we have in the city. They paid a prorated fee of $275. And this will give our citizens more opportunity to be able to go someplace on Sunday, maybe have a nice meal and alcoholic beverage with that.
Lacey, thank you for the report. Questions or comments from council? Any citizens' input on the matter tonight? Yes, please. If you'd like to come on up to the podium, introduce yourself, and share your address, please.
Well, I oppose it because
If you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and state your
my
address,
name's
please.
Maggie Snyder, and I'm against it because you have these people alcohol drinking, then they come down our house, throw things in the trash, the yard, and everything, and that's why I'm against it. I was an alcoholic before. I've been sober for 49 years, August 28th. We don't need that up there. I'm sorry, that's what I feel.
Thank you for sharing.
Ma'am, I didn't get your name.
Maggie Snyder.
Okay, thank you.
Are there other folks who'd like to speak on this matter this evening? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and take it to a vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion does pass. Thank you,
Thank you.
Lacey.
Thank you.
Let's move then to action item number 6 this evening. Entertain a motion and second to approve the reappointment of Don Crosby to serve as the City of Kirksville's employer representative to the Missouri Local Government Employees Retirement System. Revised Missouri Statute 70.605.6 requires that this appointment be made annually.
So moved.
Councilmember Bonsall with the motion.
Second.
Second from Councilmember Gardner. Staff report will be with Mary Maycumber. Good evening, Mary.
Good evening. I think the motion pretty much said it, but I do want to just mention Don Crosby is our human resource director and currently has been the city's loggers representative. That representative is the person who attends the annual conference, and when there are votes or decisions that are being made towards bylaws and changes to policies and things like that, then it's important that we have a vote at the table.
Thank you for the report, Mary. Questions or comments from council? Any citizens' input on the matter tonight? We'll go ahead and vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion is approved. Thank you, Mary. Move then to action item number 7. I'll entertain a motion and second to approve the reappointment of John Gillum to the Kirksville Housing Authority for a 4-year term ending September 2027.
So moved.
Councilmember Steele, second from Councilmember Gardner. Staff report will be with Mary.
Thank you, Mayor. So this evening, we're asking you to consider reappointment of John Gillum. John does meet all of the requirements. He has served since 1997. That is 26 years, and he's willing to serve 4 more years. John currently serves as the chair of the Housing Authority.
Thank you, Mary. Questions or comments from council?
Most of our boards and commissions, I thought, have, is it 3-year?
They're all different.
Are they?
If they are local ones that you all have set up, they're typically 3, but like Board of Adjustment, I think is 5 years. This one is a statutory one as well, meaning the state of Missouri has set that up. So, so we're following state law.
Thank you.
I might just offer my thanks to John Gillum. He's been serving for a very long time with it, and I've really appreciated his leadership on that board, and I'll be glad to have him back in that capacity. Any citizens' input on the matter tonight? We'll go ahead and take it to a vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion does pass. Thank you, Mary. That concludes our action items for this evening, so we'll move into our citizens' participation portion of our meeting tonight. We invite anybody to come up to the podium to speak for up to 5 minutes on any issue that hasn't already been on tonight's agenda. And with that, the podium is open.
Danny McDowell, 824 East Scott. I admire any citizen that'll come up and speak to you, the council, and especially when you don't listen to it. And you say you'll answer emails, you say you answer, you're not doing it, council. I've had too many people tell me that. Way too many. The crime in Kirksville is up. It's tremendous. The drugs is horrible. My end of town is horrible, but it's not only my end of town. This is strong all out through. And you, the council, are ignoring it, letting this go by. We elected you to help the protection of our citizens and everything. You're letting us down. I have no confidence in you, the council, and I have none with the city police. Somewhere something's wrong, or I wouldn't see this. I see them jumping from house to house and right down in my end of town, within 1,000 feet of Truman. I can take you to several meth houses. The streets is a havoc down there. The thefts, I can tell you, I sat and watched how they're doing. Little bicycles, and now they got the little 50cc scooters going all night long. I run into them this morning when they're out there running up and down the street. I have a meth house beside me, one across the street, and one down within a half a block, and two more before I get to Truman. Come on, guys. Let's get the crime down, get the drugs down, and Truman will start getting students. I talk to these students, I hear from them. I had their parents come in at visit days and ask me, is Kirksville as bad as what we're here? You know, when they can read that we are 94% in Kirksville, above the average in the state of Missouri, that's a problem. Another thing I want to bring up, and this was given to me by a citizen down there, when we have open burning in a burn pit or something, I can understand that. But when it's blowing in our house, and it's not all just wood burn, it's when I come up here tonight, the smell of plastic blowing through my house. You call the fire department, they drive by, go on. They don't do nothing. You call the police department, they drive by a lot of times and go on. They expect me to do their job, I'm not going to do it for them. They're getting paid to protect us. You guys was voted in to protect the citizens and see that that it's run right. You definitely need, after watching the last 3 or 4 months, you need a citizens advisory. You need to lose some hide off of your skin, guys, and get the citizens closer to you. You're not represented. I'll talk to any one of you. I'll talk to you 2 at a time. Can't talk to you 3 because then I'd have a quorum, wouldn't I? It's time you guys straighten up and start representing the citizens the way you was voted in to do. It's time I hear what you're doing to help promote Truman with the time we're losing students. And when I hear these students tell me, they go home and tell their parents and their friends not to send people to Truman. How are you going to reverse that? 4 of you are up here on higher education. You need to get your act together. You need to get some common sense and listen to us. I'm very tired of it. I'm very disgusted. And I'm going to tell you guys one thing, and I hope everyone listens right here. I'm not going to back off of you guys till the dirt's stirred in my face. And I think that should tell you where I'm going to stand. This city deserves better than what we have right now, from the city manager right on up. It's time we have some new blood, and I'm not so sure at any time we should call for a recall election. Our council, get in and work for our citizens. Let's bring this town back what it should be. These drugs is rampant, not in one part of town. They're in your end, Mayor. I don't live that far from you.
No, you don't.
And they're within 1,000 foot of Truman. That definitely has a state statute to it. We need some action. We need it down. I don't know where you guys have been going, but I've been a lot of places, and I just got a new list to go to today. Somewhere I'm going to find someone that's not afraid to come in and put you guys in your place. That's all I got to say.
You'd like to come forward? Yes.
I live at 205 East Missouri Street. We had a drug bust. And then I found out that we got a drug dealer across the police station. They won't do anything. When people go in jail, they let them out. Why? People threaten people every day, and they don't do nothing. I've been threatened about 5 times in my life, and I won't stop till people work together. We need to work together like 40 years ago. We had Cliff Mayabell. We had Judge Normont, Judge Arton. We had nice people that just go in and help and work together. That's what we need, to work together. Not to turn against each other, just work together and work and get things done together. Not fighting and everything, just work together. That's all I want to say.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there folks who'd like to speak tonight? Yes, please.
Mayor and council. I've been here about 11 years. And when I came here, I bought this house on East Missouri, and I was very happy with Kirksville. I learned the contractors, I learned the good ones, the bad ones, and I renovated and did whatever I could. For the last 2 years, down the block from me, 702 East Missouri, East Illinois, it's a drug house. And they've been operating with impunity for the last 2 years. My sweetie wants to move. I don't want to move because I still like it. I just increased my handling of and so on and so forth. But it's just, and pardon my throat, I think I got allergies. And the police, how would you like to call a policeman for some problems or something from a neighbor? And he tells you, I see that the guys parked the illegal RV in the alleyway, and other people saying he should get a ticket, and he says, I can't give him a ticket. I said, okay, so my wife says, why can't you give him a ticket? And I had nothing to do with this. This was from my neighbor who had called the police department because he was parked back there and had damaged his garage. I had nothing to do with this. I was just watching TV and playing with the computer. I can't give him a ticket. This is what the sergeant says in front of the officer. Well, why can't you give him a ticket? Well, that's a new RV he bought. I can't give him a ticket. The police, and I had a meeting several times with the new police commissioner. And it's just, nothing goes down. When we first moved here, for the first couple of years, we always saw the police pass. We waved, we said hello, everything was good, all right? But the drugs, we was down in Columbia for a root canal. And there's a young couple sitting there. My wife goes in before me, and I guess he figured, he heard that I told the receptionist, I'm from Kirksville. He says, you live in Kirksville? I says, yeah, is that all right? I mean, it's okay. He says, we know people there. They said, that's like about the drug capital of Missouri. And that was before they sold that house to the druggies down at 702. And it's just out of control. I can give you a half a dozen instances with the police about, we can't do anything. I'm not doing it. I can't do anything. There's nothing I can do. I mean, the druggies have scanners. They have prostitutes there. And I'll tell you another thing. You guys signed a contract, and I understand why, because I read the whole history of it with the sanitation, the new sanitation. Well, guess what? They are some low-class people. They've got a nice setup at that 702 because the garbage trucks stop there all the time. Now, I found out there's one of them ones that use the ankle bracelets lives there. So I don't know what they do. I don't know, of course. I don't know. And I see stolen stuff going into that house all the time and a couple of prostitutes banging around out there. Let me tell you, I'm from Brooklyn, New York. This wouldn't be tolerated. Wouldn't be tolerated by the police or the people, if you get my drift. It's horrible. There's nothing is done. Everything is just. I have a whole list of stuff to tell you, but you have an idea how bad the drugs are. That's all I can say.
Thank you. Other folks who'd like to speak tonight? If there's nothing further, we'll go ahead and open up for council comments. Any comments that council would like to share this evening?
I went to the MML conference,
Yes.
I guess a week ago, and that was, I really appreciated and thank the city administration for creating that opportunity as far as organizing the reservations and everything. And I just wanted to tell you guys that next year the conference is September 15th through 18th. And I have it on my calendar, and I hope that you guys might consider joining me. I always have a hard time deciding which breakout sessions to go to because so many of them feel relevant. So I just feel like it would be great if there was more than one of us there who could glean from some of the topics they're discussing. And I'm always really struck by how relevant to what we're doing in Kirksville the topics are that are presented. I just want to tell you a few of the things that I attended. I went to a session about municipal bonds, which is very relevant and gave me a lot of clarification just so I can kind of understand more what the processes are that we are going to be encountering potentially. I went to a session about city facilities construction, and I know we're in the middle of a lot of conversations about that, dreaming in that direction. There was a session about changing environmental regulations, which did not sound very interesting, but I thought turned out to be really relevant. I learned about PFAS and more about the lead and copper inventory, which I know Adam has spoken to us about. And so I don't know, I'm always like overwhelmed with how impactful it is for me to hear the conversation sort of from a statewide perspective. It just gives me a broader perspective. And I feel like in so many ways, makes me really proud to be from Kirksville because I have the sense often that like, oh, our staff are doing a great job and they're really on top of these things. And I come back better prepared to sort of understand and appreciate the work that they're doing. So there were a couple other sessions I went to, but I won't take up any more time. But I do invite you to think about coming next year.
Thanks for sharing it.
Mm-hmm. So I did want to ask, at the October study session, did you want to expand on what you learned?
I don't have a plan for
think
that.
about that and let me know.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Well, I want to first thank everybody who spoke tonight. I think it's important for us to hear from the community, and I'm taking down some notes and things to follow up on, so thank you all for sharing. I think it's also important to note that there are a lot of wonderful things happening in our community as well. The Whiskey Turkey Festival was a couple weeks ago. I wasn't able to attend, but it looked like quite a good time. We had the Red Barn Arts Festival this past weekend, which was fantastic. We have several homecomings coming up in the near future. The Bologna Festival and other things, and I see our youth doing a lot of wonderful things in the high school and other activities. So, I think, well, there's certainly some things that are concerns for our community, and we need to pay attention to those. I think it's also important to understand the full depth and breadth of our community and all the wonderful things happening as well.
Thank you very much. Other council comments tonight? Well, we'll go ahead then into a newsletter review. Mary?
Mayor and Council, just a couple of items. First of all, I want to mention that on September 25th, you were meeting with the Dare County Commissioners at 5:30 upstairs here. The newsletter provided some upcoming dates, one of which was the Healthcare Community Needs Meeting. This was part of the agreement between the city and Hannibal Regional. The date that I was given was October 10th. I received notice today that it's now the 17th.
Okay.
So just want to make sure that nobody, if you put it on your calendar, to change that date.
What's the time on that?
I think they're looking 5:30 to 7. And I'm thinking, John, it's more of a walk-in kind of thing. I don't quite have all the details yet. Other things to mention, ground transportation, the Airport and Transportation Commission will be working on a subcommittee to address and look at ground transportation to and from the airport. And we did ask tourism if they wanted to have somebody also represent. Haven't heard back if there was anybody interested in that, but their first meeting will take place on the 26th of September. So just letting you know that. 909 East Normal, I did have a meeting with Cheryl Nickel. Cheryl's in the audience here. So there were a number of things that were talked about in that meeting. At the end of the day, what Ms. Nickel was really focused on was looking at some things, not just for her, but for future and how they impact citizens. And so I think we had a pretty good conversation. One of the things that I did mention in here, we still are working through with the asphalt plant. If there isn't any disagreement with the council, I think because of all of the back and forth and different things that were encountered with this particular situation, that, you know, if the council were agreeable, then they do have it set to work on Wednesday in front of that house in Normal. And again, I'm not proposing this as a policy. I'm just proposing this as one time, and then we will come back and talk about a number of different things. For example, one example I gave you was when we know what street we're going to do, to notify the property owners. Get somebody in to look at your systems so that you don't have to pay for the street improvements. So just want to mention that to the council and see if there was any objections to what I had suggested.
No, I don't have any objection to that at all. The rest of council?
Nope.
That sounds like a good way to move forward then.
Yeah, move forward.
Okay. And since you're in the audience, I will reach out to you and tell you exactly what we were talking about here. Then Greenwood School ribbon cutting ceremony. If you are interested in attending, please let the city clerk know. Do also want to mention there were a couple of notes of appreciation. First, from the Missouri National Guard Hall of Fame, specifically Lieutenant Colonel Nicholas Mikas, who was just appreciative of the support for their event and specifically cited the tourism director in his notes. And then there was a comment from Arleta Nelson, who is a citizen who was just very appreciative of the work of the Public Works call-out crew who came out to her neighborhood and, you know, worked to fix, you know, a water issue that was out in her neighborhood. So that is all I have.
Thank you for that there, Mary. Our next regular meeting will be on Monday, October 2nd at 6 p.m. here in the council chambers. And with that, I'll entertain a motion and second to adjourn into executive section pursuant to revised Missouri Statute 6-1.